Hello, welcome to AgostoAllElite podcast. This is Richie here. I am only one today, so I'm doing it by myself as usual now. This is going forward for now. So this is gonna be live. This is a quick live podcast. You get to see my face. Most will be on Spotify, but only on Spotify because you're gonna have the audio version on other podcasts. I'm just telling you this. So let's go with the wrestling recaps. Raw's recap. Alright. Yeah. Let's talk about Raw's recap. Woo, this is gonna be an amazing show. Yeah. Angelo Dawkins versus Damian Priest. Let's start the show with that. We have Edge and Beth Phoenix opening up the show to a huge ovation. We saw a recap of what Judgment Day did at Extreme Rules, and the Radar Superstar returned during the Men's Royal Rumble match. Naturally, the heel faction came to respond. This segment took a long time to get to the Phoenix, laying out a challenge to a mixed tag match at Elimination Chamber with Edge and herself versus Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor. As the Judgment Day began to circle the ring for attack, Street Profits came out to make the save. This led to a first match between Priest and Dawkins for a spot inside the Men's Elimination Chamber match on February 18th. It got started during the break, so by the time we returned, the Priest had the upper hand. Dawkins turned things around and pounced the Archer of Infamy right on top of the announce table. Then we go to the opening promo. This match took more than 30 minutes, the first hour Raw, but the crowd was into it in the old time. So, Edge, Phoenix are popular enough to keep the WWE Universe invested in the fight between Dawkins and Priest, were a high-energy battle between two big men who can also move with a lot of speed. Despite some big moves from Dawkins, Priest was able to secure the win for earning a spot inside the Men's Elimination Chamber. The promo for Edge and Phoenix was a bit too long, with the need to say, but it's kind of a hallmark of the Radar Superstars generation. We used to get so many more long promos than we do these days. So we go straight to now the Dexter Lumis versus Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin took on Dexter Lumis in a second match of the night. JBL and Gargano in their corrupted corners. Corbin attacked Lumis at the end of the ring to get an early advantage. The Torture Artists were on the defense for a long time before he began to make a comeback. At the Fury of Moves, Lumis hit a big side slam for the win. This was a clean finish to a relatively basic match. Both men looked good. What they did, they just didn't do much. Carmella versus Piper Niven versus Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae. Let's go to that. So, we got a promo for Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley that ended with the Beast Incarnate taking out the Almighty. These two will likely meet in Elimination Chamber after Lashley signs the contract. The next matchup was the Fatal 4-Way for the spot in the Women's Chamber match. Carmella, Niven, Yim, and LeRae was fighting for one of the last two spots. Niven wiped out LeRae and Yim before scaring Mel out of the ring with a scream. The crowd shouted Scott out of support throughout the match, but she seen to be working as a heel most of the time. This ended up being an entertaining contest with a handful of spots that propped the crowd. Niven had a great showing. LeRae may have been the most impressive some of her high-flying antics. After Niven hit a cannonball to LeRae in the corner, Marella super kicked her to knock her out of the ring so she could cover for the Pixie for the win. So that was a good matchup. This was a good women's match. It was 4-way, so she got the win. So Mella's in the chamber. So yeah, Mella's going to be in the chamber and pretty much there from going from there. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, now we have Alpha Academy versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. MVP accompanied Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander to the ring for their match against Chad Gable Otis. Xander and Gable started off with a fast-paced exchange, ended with a ladder hit a beautiful German suplex to counter a handspring from his opponent. Both men teams had a short period of being in control, but this was all reestablishing Xander and Benjamin as a viable tag team. After a decent fight, Xander hit the lumbar check on Gable to score the win. MVP Raider went into the ring to celebrate with them. So it was during the backstage segment, Corbin and JBL. MVP could be seen shaking hands with Benjamin and Alexander. But there was also a segment when Corbin and JBL were pissed. Like, JBL was so pissed with him that he left and cut Corbin off. So So are we going to be going back to Happy Corbin, or is this going to be the Lone Wolf Corbin we're going to get? So I don't know what's going to be. Anyway, Asuka versus Chelsea Green. Throughout the night, Chelsea Green was actually showing harassing Ann Pierce, so the WWE official decided to get a little payback by booking her in a match against Asuka. The crowd gave Empress of Tomorrow a huge pop when she came to the ring, but as soon as the bell rang, Green nailed her with a drop kick that sent her to the middle of the turnbuckle. All the women who had qualified in women's chamber match showed up to watch this fight as Green surprisingly dominated the early action. Like, she walked around the ring and addressed every woman, but gave Asuka a chance to recover. She uploaded on a revival for her punches, kicks for putting her in a submission for the win. So this wasn't much of a contest, but it served the story to some degree. Green was supposed to have much of a fight chance, and this is the way it was booked. Makes sense, even though it wasn't particularly exciting. So, yeah. So we have Elias versus Montez Ford. So after Corey was a little pro about his upcoming Wrestle 39 match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, we got the final chamber qualified bout between Montez Ford and Elias. This chain between Heyman and Rose was probably one of the best things I've seen in Raw in months, and Roman Reigns was even part of it. It was time for the match. Also, Darius sat with a commentary table to watch the match for himself. Elias Ford started with a clean lockup and break. Elias had a bit of a power advantage, but it was offset by Ford's superior speed and agility. It had been a slow start, but he picked up the pace after the break to make a solid performance. Ford scored the win with a massive frog splash. Pro segment for Heyman and Rose were outstanding. Standing. Oh, yeah, it was a standing, honestly. So the crowd was actually eating out of the palms of their hands. It was pretty good. The promo was great. We're going to have Cody versus Roman WrestleMania. It is going to be fantastic. All right, let's go to the main event. Lynch versus Bayley in a steel cage match. And it's going to be, we never got to see on Raw. So, yeah, anyway. Before we start punches, both men and women take a little talk a little trash to make this feel like a personal fight. Promos earlier in the show, and the way they act inside the ring furthered the narrative. They went from 160 minutes in the same time. They threw each other in steel cages, beat the left out of each other within minutes. Referee called for the bell. Both men worked their butts or asses off to make this a cage match worthy to be on a Raw main event. They succeeded with fighting colors. It was hard hitting, well paced. They have enough time to make this a fun without being drawn out. So, yeah. Io Sky climbed the side of the cage to prevent the man from escaping while Dakota Kai threw one of her crutches in the ring. Just as Lita's music hit, she ran out to take out Sky Kai to even the odds. The WWE Hall of Fame slammed the door on Bayley's face and knocked her back into Lynch's arms in a manhandle slam. The man and Lita celebrated the ring to end the show on a high note. So, yeah. So, that show ended on a great high note. Lita and the man celebrate together. I see a tag team match coming soon on Chamber. So, let's see how it goes. That'll be pretty good. Okay, anyway, we have now the AEW Dynamite recap. Let's go to the recap. Alright, basically, we got start with the AEW World Eliminator, Konosuke Takahashi versus MJF. Konosuke had an opportunity to pay out what would have been a magical start of his all-elite wrestling career by defeating world champ MJF in an eliminator match. As great as the 27-year-old Japanese star has been throughout, the Salt of the Earth was much better. MJF was still the Ursula Grain striker, not to mention a self-inflicting injury caused by a missed knee drop to tap Kakashi out with an armbar that exploited the babyface's own left injured arm. This was a fantastic match and now overstays welcome. Didn't pack a ton of action in a 20-minute window. Takahashi again performed up to the moment, but it was MJF who was commented on his work as the audience that really enhanced the contest. The crowd was all over him for his cheap heel tactics, be it rolling to the floor to avoid vert punishment, draping his foot over the bottom rope at the opportunity to break up a pin. Where showing up his in-ring psychology or physical attributions, he was on fire here, proved that he could soon miss moments and retire comebacks good as ever been. The win all assures MJF will enter Revolution on Redshift as AEW World Champion, while Bryan Danielson will have the opportunity to cash his ticket to the pay-per-view and a 1-hour Iron Man match later in the show. Alright. Well, yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Like, MJF, Bryan Danielson will be the main event. So, anyway, I don't know what to do. So, wrestling is a great product. Like, AEW is a great product if you put more effort into it. Like, AEW has the potential to go mainstream. Just put the effort to it, you know? Don't bitch and complain if wrestling is not good. Is you like wrestling? Don't bitch and complain. Simple sad. Now, all right, we got the AEW World Champion Eliminator Hayter versus the Bunny. The women's champion Hayter and the Bunny, they had a brief match, and then abruptly the former delivered a red corollary, Haterade for the pinfall victory. Like the majority of the pin bout took place during a commercial break. There was an ugly spot appeared to lead to a sudden finish. Honestly, it was disappointing for the Bunny, who did not get highlighted enough to the television. This also fucks up the spotlight for Hayter, you know? Well, thankfully, the post-match event saw Riddick interview Soria Toy Store over for the heels to attack and eliminate Billy Bates by spray painting the L on her. Like, they should have played, instead of losers, they should call it lesbians. Because they look like lesbians, in my opinion. Oh, and that in their ongoing feud with Hayter, Britt Baker was easily the biggest takeaway and anything that happened in a potential injury shortened match. So we go to the Garcia Guevara Gauntlet, Ricky Starks versus Jericho Appreciation Society. Okay, to get his hands on Jericho, Starks will have to defeat three members of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Up first, Cool Head and Jericho Park, who Starks defeated short order with a roll-up. Next was Daddy Magic Matt Menor, who suffered the same fate, but was a short order. Daniel Garcia fared better than his teammates and his married mid-century to Starks. Young Stars AEW has a solid competitive match that saw Garcia control for Starks' attempt to come back. A backhold by Master Selling outside for a circle allowed Garcia to capitalize, score the win. After the match, the Mystery Man revealed himself to be Jericho, who saved himself by having to battle Uso one more time. So yeah, honestly, this was fine, but there wasn't a single reason when it's Garcia versus Starks, there would have more time to deliver a high quality match. Right, whether it was a reflection of Russell booking or heels or championship clash with JF or program that is not clicking tonight, something hoped would, it does not change the fact that Starks was among the hot stars shown not all long ago. So hopefully this available range of Jericho satisfies that, but it suggests the outcome of the contest may be obvious and one thing, and this is problematic. So yeah, it's pretty much what it is. So Bryan Danielson versus Roosh. So MJF and Cahoots repressed the advance, and Jose did everything in power to keep Bryan Danielson from making it to the ring for his scheduled match at El Toro Blanco Roosh. A determined Dragon showed her his way out and sprint to his ring, only finds out defensive bloody early. Nothing would deter Danielson as he cashes ticket to Revolution on March 5th in AEW World Championship Iron Match against MJF by the way of a Bushaka knee to the face of Roosh. This was nothing short of a fantastic match as Danielson continued to soar his greatness and Roosh the world why he was once considered the future of ROH. Both men were extraordinary, delivering up to even the lowest expectations in the match that would have fit perfectly on a pay-per-view card. It was a tense, hard-hitting affair after they saw the American Dragon absorb everything thrown at him before proving his will was strong enough when his body was not even been. So the post-match beatdown by MJF was great, built even more heat for the villain ahead of his match with Danielson. Should be a defining point in his career. So yeah, it was pretty much good. Like we have MJF, more heat for MJF, a babyface for Danielson. Like it'll be a great run. Like MJF's gonna win regardless. So I can't wait for the match. I cannot wait for that match. It will go great. That match will be amazing. And it will be amazing. So, you know. And I don't know what's going to happen. Shit. Alright, the AEW World Trios Championship Elite versus AR Fox at Top Flight. Momentum was on the side of via Dante and Darren Martin enter Wednesday's AEW World Trios Championship match alongside partner AR Fox as the Elite Young Bucks. They scored victories in a recent Trios Battle Royale tag team match against the Bucks. They sought to make it 3 in a row by defrauding the champs. The challengers felt short, but now went out in a breakout performance by Fox. He sees another opportunity to showdown. The question why it takes so long for someone to give him the chance to showcase his skills on the stage. So yeah, Fox was fantastic hanging with the Elite. appearing to have Tyr on the edge of defeat on one more on an occasion. Ultimately, Omega was able to wrestle him lately and narrow escape his team title by roll-up. So honestly, it wasn't that good as opener dance and Rush match, but it was still a widely effective party match that had fans invested from the get-go, allowed the chance to shine. The Elite still feel stale. Something no 1970s rock hit will change. But at least they padded the win-loss record here and had another a quality match at Tao. So yeah, we go to the main event. AEW World Tag Belts, the Acclaim versus the Guns. So Austin and Gunn won the AEW World Tag Team Championship in the main event of Wednesday Night Dynamite. So you gotta take the moment to let that sink in. Honestly, I'm just checking my phone for a second, just a couple of seconds. All right, I'm done. Let's go to what I'm talking about. So yeah, it was like a solid contest between the Generation Stars and Acclaim, Max Caster and the Bowens. They descended to overbook mess late with a referee bump. And wait, I missed my phone. Let me put my phone down. I gotta put it down. Okay. All right. What else again? Okay. It was late with ref bump. Tease a heel turn by Billy Gunn for the ill-advised outcome that saw the Guns claim the GOAT. So, the Acclaim was one of the most over acts in any company pro wrestling. Had gone through so much to win the tag belts. Best yet, they were nowhere close to popular dimension, which means the outcome was even more befuddling. Honestly, befuddling. There will be some who will defend the book and the suggestion that screwing nature of the outcome would build heat for the Guns, set up a return match that will be hotter and fans anticipate Caster and Bowens getting their titles back. This is not an impression the finish left, though the overall of the closing moments of the show was either confusion or dismay. So honestly, in my opinion, the decision to use the Guns to throw in the Acclaim was felt wrong, but it's AEW's decision, and we gotta respect that. But honestly, maybe Tony Khan can rectify this and heat up a story quickly enough to get fans excited about a rematch for Revolution, but just not get over at all likely managed and likely hoped. So, yeah, it's what they need. Alright, let's go to the SmackDown recap. Okay, SmackDown recap. Let's start with a Paul Heyman promo. Paul Heyman attempted at stopping bleeding with the bloodline. It backfired at the top of Friday SmackDown. Sami Zayn erupted and sent a message loudly and clear to the undisputed champion. Tribal Chief does not have to worry about Cody Rhodes because he's going to beat him next Saturday in Montreal at Elimination Chamber. This was not the same kind of promo as Heyman's instant clash with Rhodes on Monday, right, Bob? It was still very good. President is saying as someone who's more confident than months ahead of his premier live event in the marquee bout. The crowd loves Zayn. Heyman did another job of selling words, and WWE knows how to utilize the dog and dog from the underdog. The result was a fantastic segment at the top of the show. At first, no one contender. Roman Reigns and a great desire to see a very 18 main event. So yeah. So now I go to Sheamus and McIntyre versus Hit Row. Lacey Evans dominates. So anyone who questioned where Hit Row will always be taken seriously as a threat in the tag team division found out on Friday that Sheamus and Drew McIntyre steamrolled top down as the Adonis, essentially squashed the tandem in a competitive match. So the match was cited, highlighted the babyface for a pre-tape promo, set up a match between Butters and Bang and the Viking Raiders for next week. The takeaway here is the meant to be a continuation of Sheamus and McIntyre's feud with Eric and Ivar, but with utter destruction Hit Row that really left a lasting impact. So honestly, how does Triple H and cope? Think of this help top down and Ashton. Right now, utilize the segment as a message to the team to evaluate their performance or risk failing by the wayside again. Yeah, and the company has utilized their booking tactics before when the Viking Raiders, who took that when they were given the few comedic acts back in 2020 and ran with them, is their work in segments and likely earned them many opportunities to succeed as they have. So now they're posed about two former WWE Championship and most significant match of their careers. So after the match, Lacey Evans hit the ring for a match with Carmen Harris, like Sheamus and McIntyre. She was dominant. So she won the one-side squash with a camel clutch. Backstage, Timmy Uso repeatedly calls brother the reality that he might have to defend his tag titles by himself and setting in the at the end. The Undisputed Tag Team Champions, Ricochet and Braun Strowman versus Usos. So Usos showed up the last possible second, embracing Brother Jimmy and the head of tag titles in defense against Ricochet and Braun Strowman. The Reunited Brothers and their situational awareness allowed the Usos to regain success and retain the titles, with Jay taking advantage of a blind tag with his brother and delivered the splash to unexpected Ricochet for the win. So the story once again took center stage as Jay arrived at last second. They were already ready to allow the issues with him Romans. The fact the history he had and brother had made over a course of about 500+ day reign as champions. There's no apparent schism between them as they worked together they ever had. Backstage, Russia when Jay missed and one share was with the bloodline, while Jimmy Ball Heyman walked from behind the pillar. Blurring the story, Heyman caught Jimmy after he denied Jay about a spot in the faction. Heyman would definitely manipulate the situation. There was times about the fine drama. Since Raymond said Jimmy's not lying, he may not have committed the bloodline as they thought. So yeah. So it's great. Just great. Layer all stuff all around. Ronda Rousey returned, attacked Natalya, women's tag team match, Jay and Sammy. Ronda Rousey returned to SmackDown Friday night and ring promo saying between Natalya and Shad Baszler. That was ending, but Rollins Shotzi failed to make the word say wait to save. Heel still closer angle. Worse as Ratchet for Rousey seemed and started to diminish around luck. By Brahman's lack of understanding makes her character effective. Minutes later, Centerville, Chelsea Green battled Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan in a tag team action. Despite the effort by Deville Green to stunt the momentum of the opponents, both of them will compete in next Saturday's Elimination Chamber. Morgan and Rodriguez won a perfectly acceptable match. That is highlighted green character. Even defeat was wrestling proof that Triple H and Co. have an idea where they come, and particularly from wanted to go. So yeah. So backstage, we got Sami Zayn caught up with Jay Uso, admitted that he did not know how things ended. The Bloodline Usos, but he not just the right-hand man at the fist bump ended with segment was fantastic. The moment Usos betrayed Zayn in Chamber, he's going to be genuinely pissed, honestly. So the Intercontinental Championship it's like a fatal four-way number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship match. Champion Gunther is a miss in the match to push that see him establish himself as a star to hold that time for the longest in the last 23 years. So Friday night, we have Mysterio, Karrion Kross, Madcap Moss, and Santos Escobar battling for the opportunity to challenge the ring general for his title. An action-packed main event saw several hits of potential stories, choose competitors to move in looking forward. Clues somewhat rising with Moss winning, cashing his ticket to showdown with Gunther. Moss is a guy who over last year has been criminally underrated, undervalued by WWE fans. He has looks, energy, and ability to succeed next level, but lacked consistent opportunity. No one's saying no Shade. Moss is a viable candidate to drone Gunther, but Kim Danger as self-stealer. Australian better elevating them starting the process. Kudos to Kross who shine at the Gresham booking, Stitch and Song from Mysterio, singles action. So backstage, Flair how to put Rhea Ripley in the spot. Man, yeah. So Heyman told Jimmy Uso backstage that Uso has to stay home next week, watch Shove at home because they can see things that they cannot in the moment. So that was the end of the show. SmackDown. So in retrospect, it was a pretty good show. And you know, and how it is. So okay. AEW Rampage recap. Alright, Blackpool Combat Club versus Blackpool Combat Club versus Butcher and Blade. So both teams were there range show in the match quickly possible. Yuta saving that's this man momentum. So yeah, even though the heel team had an upper hand in a moment of time, the ending of the bout was about the predictable it gets. The same to see that most people would have money on the BBC if they were placed best on the show. Predictably, it was always a bad thing. Most pro wrestling matches are easy to predict. What matters is what they do between the bells. Both these teams did a good job making this feel competitive. The biggest complaint I have about this I was conscious before they were moving from sequence to sequence and telling the story. It's hard to do in 6-man tag matches, so sometimes it's easy to try to forgive. And, it is. So, Castagnoli was able to score the win for his team, and he uppercut the Sabian. So, we go to the next match, Ruby Soho versus Maria Sheffer. So, basically, we saw 2 members of the Practical Jokers from the show got put through a table at JSS and interviewed with Dustin Rhodes. Soho and Sheffer got going. So, and basically, the interview with Dustin Rhodes were getting attacked by Swerve and his buddies. So, yeah. So Ruby was seen hesitant at first, but still put up a good fight for one-shake contact. Sheffield made a big size advantage. She crawled the pace a bit. A few minutes of the match took place during the break-in picture. You see Soho struggling and mounting offense against the former MMA fighter. Both women brought off physiologists match with lack of chemistry. They probably check out to not being familiar with each other, having completely different styles. After a late match comeback, Soho got the win with the destination unknown. So that was a decent women's match. Lack of compatibility, but it happened. Or lack of chemistry, it happens. Like, it was one to know about Riddick Moss. Like, Gunther and Rick Moss. Would it be a good match? No. Probably, yeah. We go to Mark Briscoe getting a funny interview at this match. I saw in competition with Josh Woods. It was pretty funny. We're going to have Josh Woods versus Mark Briscoe on Dynamite next week, and whatever. Jungle Boy versus Ryan Neff. The third match of the night saw Jungle Boy Jack Perry take on Ryan Neff. JB got his usual entrance. F was in the ring. It was about over less than 2 minutes. And then when Jungle Boy got a predictable win, Brian King came out and indicated that he and Perry had unfinished business. This was definitely a match that happened. Nobody can deny that. I wasn't mentioning anything. It gave a few minutes to get Perry a quick win. So yeah, this was a big quick matchup. Jungle Perry, Jack Perry versus Brian Cage next week. So yeah, pretty much. So Orange Cassidy versus Mia Moriarty, the main event. So the main event is Cassidy defends the All-Atlantic Championship against Firm's Leah Moriarty. Moriarty refused to let Cassidy put his hands in the pocket by applying a hammerlock, but also counter out of it, took his sunglasses out of the back. So Tiger style showed his superior power a few times before Cassidy messed around doing that entire sequence of moves, counters with hands in pockets. Like that hasn't stuck. Halfway, we're on ringside, had minor involvement at different points in the match, but the most fun part, this was a clean fight between 2 young stars, a lot of potential. Whenever Cassidy's in the ring with technical mastermind, he managed to keep up with them, makes his own style to everything happening. It's kind of impressive how good he's getting while looking not trying. Despite morality keep clear being the best athlete, he was unable to get the win. Cassidy picked up the victory by carrying a submission into a roll-up. So, all in all, this was a good match, and it was a great show on Rampage. Rampage had a good show this week. There was nothing wrong with it. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. Like, SmackDown was actually well better for once. Raw was a bit of a meh. Dynamite was okay. So, this was Red Cap. There were pretty good wrestling shows. Well, this morning I just read about Twitter's New Japan shit. Like Jay White's gonna be leaving Japan, so he's gonna be going to AEW. I don't think he probably leave Japan, but he's still with New Japan. So I don't know what's going on. So let's just be I don't know. All right, let's go to the wrestling news. Cody Cospec's increase for AEW media rights comments on potential Sheen deal. So on May 19th, Double or Nothing event, show at the spinoff following special months later leading to formation of Cody Cost Company. They quickly reached agreement with Romania to send a weekly and a great start screen weekly over years. AEW expanded on success initial television deal by adding Rampage 2021 with the first playing host and return of CM Punk. The flagship show switched from TBS in 2022. Tony Khan trade at that point is to have wrestling shows on both channels with King. New deal with War Meal when the deal expires in 2023. So this is what he says. So he speaks with UX Sports he discussed about the upcoming negotiations, confirming his confidence being able to secure a nuclear deal for the future. He expects big increases in rights for the AW programs. We're on a good place to make a few lucrative deal for AW media rights going forward. So apparently another talking point when it comes to AW broadcast potential for the company's launch of stream first service. When the amount of content AW has produced over the years and they have gained since inception, many will feel it extends to the company to make the library available to everyone. Khan committed the library available to everyone. Khan commented on the possibility of future streaming service, acknowledged the quality and the quantity of events that AW had produced over the years. He says they've done 174 episodes, 8 episodes at Rampage. They have 17 pay-per-view events, The Evolution. So they've done hundreds and hundreds of hours on AEW content in our library. He purchased ROH last year, which is a great promotion with 20 years of history, thousands of hours of video in the library. So overall, AEW has access to so many wrestling events, including some of the events that are widely considered to be some of the best wrestling events of all time. There's some interest in the library as well as new league content we continue to produce each week. I do think there's a lot of demand in the library, and I think it makes sense then for us to try to make the AEW library available to the all over the world on demand. So yeah, pretty much. So yeah. So AEW's next pay-per-view taking place on March 5th, Light being NJF presenting his World Championship. And it's an Iron Man match. So, as always, we'll update on any news regarding AEW potential streaming and then next events and more. So, yeah. Sure. Alexa Bliss reported taking time from WWE. Since losing to Raw's Women's Champion back in Belair at Royal Rumble, Alexa Bliss has not made an appearance on WTV, but her absence from network has reportedly and injuries. So, yeah. Bliss is reportedly taking a break from WWE. According to PYU Insider, mentioned that it had known by WWE would take time prior to Royal Rumble play PLE performance. They've been hinting that Bliss will support Howdy Wyatt. One would anticipate she will return shortly before WrestleMania 2 weeks away, but we don't know. We don't know. So McIntyre reveals he's still chasing the world title win for the fans. WWE will separate the title styles soon. He talks about chasing the title. He wants to win in front of live fans. He never had the chance. So that's what it's mostly about. Mostly that's about McIntyre never had a chance to win the title in front of live fans. So that's the most about. So honestly, if Roman's emerged victorious with an upcoming battle of former Uzi Sami Zayn, so he's going to face Cody at the main event of WrestleMania in Los Angeles, California. So as of currently, there's no indication that we'll look to separate the houses soon. I will try updates in the future of what's likely, what happens soon, So then we got another one. Cody reveals he's here both for Triple H, Vince and Triple H while he was injured. He talked about his pectoral muscle tour. He talks about Vince, Triple H, how they went down. So he talked about that Hunter and Vince had different visions. He focused on being the best regardless, but prior to be equality with unsquared work or any politics. So yeah. So basically, Vince and Hunter are having their issues. Yeah. Let's go. Well, following Cody's triumphant experience, he's basically what's going to happen. Everybody trying for performance on Rumble. He set the headline WrestleMania 39 against Roman, or Sami Zayn if he wins the title. But in the terms of corporate side, Vince returned to WWE on January 6th, was unanimously elected as executive chairman of the board just 4 days later. Honestly, he tends to oversell sales, so we don't know. But my opinion, I hope he's doing a sale. I don't want to take it on creative, but it's something we could do. Okay, that was the Augusta. Alright, see you later, Ron. Thank you to AgostoAllElite Podcast. I'll see y'all next Saturday. And it'll be mostly recorded. This is a test for a live episode. Hope you enjoy. Bye.